This podcast is a conversation by Julie Benetti and Susan Barbaro and is a production of VI Alliance, copyright 2019. And this chart-busting hit, Alone Leave Me, courtesy of New Threads, is available everywhere. Hi, this is Julie, and I am here with Susan, and we have another great energy podcast because we've been talking for hours and we finally decided to record something we've been saying for hours, so we got a lot of great energy here coming forth. And if you are one of the lucky ones of many people, you can take out your Energetic Invocation series book, a book of vibrational change, volumes 1 to 17, because we're going to do something really cool and fun this time around. We're going to look at volume 4, How Do I Choose to Live My Life? And we're actually going to take one of the Process This components and read it out loud.
Lucky you.
That's right, lucky you. And now if this is completely blindsiding you because you have no idea what we're talking about, we could say, too bad, or we could say,
you don't know what you're missing.
That's right. This is from the Blue Book of Energy. And this version, with all the volumes in it, has these really cool parts where it was requested of us, of readers, of our initial first Blue Book, Energetic Invocations, a book of vibrational change, that the book was so intense and so cool that it was so energized that they were kind of getting dizzy reading it and going through the passages. And we said, let's look at the book and block out some parts and give some actual examples, because that was requested.
They're real life examples.
Yes.
Everything that's in here, we've had some people say this can't be true, and we're like, believe it or not, it is. So. And
here's a little inside information. A couple of the events actually happened to me. The names are changed
to protect the
innocent. And even Susan said, no way, this isn't true. I can't believe it. And it is true.
Yeah, well, I'm just going by what she said. So, all right. So we are on, if you have the book, it's on page 51. And the Process This is in regards to how do I choose to live my life. So you're going to read it, Julie?
Okay.
All right.
Don't
laugh.
I know. I read it before earlier and we were laughing, crying our eyes out, because this has happened to everybody. So here we go. Process This. Have you ever had a horrible retail experience where the sales clerk was so nasty that you ended up defending your request or walking out angry, upset, and feeling like you got ripped off, all because you took it personally? Some people are going to have the same disposition regardless of what you look like, say, believe, or what nationality you are. Don't ask why they were mean to you. Many are not discriminating against you or any group, as they hate everyone. That clerk may be one of those people. So why are you wasting your time taking that personally?
So this is coming off of a situation where we say, when you're taking something personal, you really create a fight within yourself, because you have no idea why the person said what they did, what they do. And if you take it personal, you're taking it as if it directly relates to you. And we've said, we make the joke that someone could come in and you have on a nice Quebec, Canada sweatshirt, and I can have gone to Quebec and say I didn't like it. I've been there. It's beautiful. But if I didn't like it, you could walk up and I could just see the sweater and look at you, and I could give you a dirty look, and you'd be like, what the heck did I do?
Right.
And it has nothing to do with you. It's just that I personally don't like, which I do, but if I didn't like Quebec and you're wearing a Quebec sweatshirt, and it could be anything. I could be, people, again, the other thing is a lot of people dress all in black. Some people don't like that. Some people feel threatened or, and they react, and it's got nothing to do with you. They don't even know you.
Right. And at times, that's a really hard place to come to, because I don't know why, but it's almost like we're almost made to take things personally. And you kind of say, what did I do? Why did that happen? And that's one of the things, too, that a lot of people say to themselves is, why did that happen to me? What did I do? Why were they mean to me? What did I say?
And so, you know, we've been talking a lot about presence and actually self-empowerment. You know, that a lot of that stems, if you have the clarity to know who you are, then what someone else says really doesn't matter.
Right.
I mean, it really doesn't matter. I mean, you try to be, you know, I'm going to use our book as an example. When we edited in the process, this pieces, it was because we got the comments that the Blue Book on its own was like really high octane. So we sat there and said, well, it's a valid, that's where they are. We understand the energy. You and I live in the energy. Mm-hmm. So we go there and we push it, but we can understand that. So we added in this piece to it. Now, if someone turns around and says, I don't like your book, well, that's okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not everybody is going to like it. And we've been fortunate. We've gotten a lot of good feedback. But, you know, some people have bought it and we haven't heard anything. We don't know. Mm-hmm. Maybe they didn't like it or whatever. It's irrelevant. We know what's in this book. And I think that piece of it that we just read is something that, you know, it's a really hard thing for people to understand. And we get caught in it too. I get caught in it.
Right. And the other huge thing about taking things personally is that it really distracts you into unhealthy thoughts. It's like a, you know, snowball going down a mountain, because the minute you start to do that, then you start to pile, you know, another unhealthy thought on top of another unhealthy thought, and you have no idea what the other person was reacting to, what was on their mind, what was, you know, going on in their situation. And yet you're taking, and I'm going to say it this way, you're like taking the burden of all of it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, completely throwing it like a pie in your face. As if it was, you know, oh my gosh, you know, what do they have against me?
Well, and then you relive it.
Right.
You go back and like, let me tell you what happened.
Oh, God.
This person did this. And I mean, I think it's a little bit of human nature for mm-hmm. us to do it. I mean, we grew up, I'm going to say it, in Italian families. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and I always say the Italian families are really into the drama. And But, you know, I think a lot of people take that on and we feel that everything is personal. And it's so unempowering if you know, and I always, you know, we've said this to other people, if you're going to take on everyone's burden, guess what? There's just not enough hours in the day. There's not enough time. You can't physically do it.
Right.
So why do we do it? Why do we do it?
Well, you know, if you think about it, you know, if it's a distraction to take things personally, then, you know, you're distracting yourself into unhealthy thoughts, and unhealthy thoughts, you know, grow on top of each other. I mean, you're creating a whole situation for you to get out of.
What are you distracting yourself from?
Exactly. That's a really good question.
You're distracting from really who you are mm-hmm. and who you are meant to be. Mm-hmm. Because instead of sitting there thinking about, okay, what do I know? What do I want to learn? What is it, you know, I can read or listen to? Instead, you're going to sit and think about what other people who don't know you, most people don't know you,
right,
will sit there and make a judgment mm-hmm. against you. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's funny, my son, we talked about, my son was here the past week, and he loves to tease me. And the biggest thing is that, you know, I always say to him, I said, well, I'm your mother. I know you better than anyone. And he's been on his own now for a while. He'll say, Mom, you have no idea who I am. And to a degree, he's right. You know, even with someone who you think you know so well, you only know a certain part of them, because there's a huge part that's, I don't want to say like a hidden part, but you don't know every thought. You don't know every experience they've had. And we make that, you know, we make that assumption.
Right. Well, it's good to have mystery, too. If you don't have mystery and a person's an open book, then it's kind of like, all right, I know everything. Why do I have to see them or talk to them?
Even you and I, we work really hard, but I don't know everything about you. Or
no, you don't. Oh, no, you don't.
And so, you know, so I would like to take that and go to the point of, you know who you are. And you know what? There's a beautiful piece that you find out about yourself the minute you shut everybody else up. Mm-hmm. And you go into who you are, and you're like, wow. When you allow yourself to be defined to yourself, you learn more about who you are. All of a sudden, things kind of start lining up for you. Things you didn't realize. All of a sudden, the universe sends things in a way that you're like, oh, I can do this. And all of a sudden, something shows up.
Right.
to support that,
Right.
as if to say, yeah, you got it.
Right.
And that's where it gets really interesting.
Right. So why would you distract yourself?
Well,
I mean,
because you don't know better.
Right. Wouldn't that be a better, more interesting movie theater to go into?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's worth exploring. You think about life and you think about what you're going to do with yourself and where you're going to spend your time and your energy. The journey of life, in my opinion, is really exploring who you are and what we can do. We have such a small idea of what we can do. And I think there's a heck of a lot more that we can do.
It's funny because I had a friend back many years ago who told me she used to go to get her dry cleaning back in the day when everyone brought their dry cleaning in. And she said the guy was like the most meanest guy ever. And as people were waiting in line and he was, waiting on each person, he was so nasty and so mean. And she said one day, I couldn't take it anymore. And when I got up and he said, whatever, the way he greeted everybody, she said, why are you so mean to everybody? And I was flabbergasted. And I thought it was great because she said he was flabbergasted. And he said, what? And she said, why are you so mean to everybody? You're just yelling at everybody. Everybody's freaking out. People are afraid to come into line.
Has Seinfeld heard this story?
I know. I don't know. Maybe it would have, but it's too late now. The show's over. And she said, it wasn't like she was trying to fix him or do anything, but she finally was like curious. Why are you so mean to everybody? And his response was like deadpan silence, where he said he didn't realize. I mean, it had been so bred in him that that's how he was reacting to the influx of customers that he had every day, that he didn't even realize. And
what if you came in there and you didn't know, everybody didn't tell you, oh my God, he's just a mean, the soup Nazi from Seinfeld. If you didn't get that update, you went in there and you think, why is he so mean to me? You would have felt like, God, what a jerk. I don't like him or whatever. That jerk.
And that's great that you brought up that episode, because you got to say that Elaine goes in there disbelieving everybody when I got to practice. Jerry George is like, shh, I got to practice. She laughs about it and she disbelieves everybody. There's no way this guy could be like that. And when she goes up there and she, of course I know it by heart. And when she goes up there and goes to order and he's appalled by what occurs. I mean, all you Seinfeld fans, you know what I'm talking about. This is classic. When he's appalled by what occurs, and she's appalled by his reaction, she's still in disbelief that he could be so nasty. And actually, the episode is so great. I don't want to say, I'm not going to ruin it if you haven't seen it, because if you haven't seen it, what are you waiting for?
Who hasn't seen
it's the Schmoopy episode. Anyway, that's Jerry and his girlfriend. Anyway, that's it's a great example that you gave, because why is he doing this? But that isn't even the testament to it. It's her going in there being clueless as to the fact that that's the way he is, or how everyone describes him. And what occurs is actually she's the one who gets the most benefit out of that whole episode in a very humorous way.
So, to go back to the process this, one of the things in this book is we talk about that. We give you an idea of, really, what if that's the case? If we go through life and everybody's talking to themselves. They're responding to their own triggers and has nothing to do with you, and we take everything personal. That's one of the things that we talk about in this book, in this specific chapter. And it actually is funny because, we talk about a retail experience and, who hasn't had that?
Right.
And, I remember my daughter always saying, you go to a place where you get a takeout and they give you just so much, and it's like they throw away everything that's left over at the end. What are you doing? Give someone a little bit more.
Right.
They're happier, and then you have less that you're throwing away.
Right.
People don't get it. I don't know if it's like they feel like, that's where their power comes in and they decide or whatever. But that has nothing to do with you.
Right.
If that's the case, that has nothing to do with you. As Julie, you're always famous for saying, I could just put the cardboard figure of myself standing there. You always say that. It didn't matter. I was there. I could have put a cardboard figure of myself, right? And so I think, so one of the things I think that's really important to take from this is, like we said at the very end of this little process, that clerk may be one of those people, meaning that hates everybody. So why are you wasting your time taking that personally?
Right. And I want to say, too, that I've been on both sides of retail. So, I know when, I've been on the other side where I have been the retail clerk, not, treating people horribly, but, understanding more because, of course, I work with energy, and, of course, I've always worked with energy, kind of what's going on, yet, you see what occurs in the background and what the managers are like and what the retail clerks have to deal with and blah, blah, blah. And then if they're bringing issues from home, you have a whole chaotic mess. Yet the bottom line is that's really not your business. And if you mind your own business with self-care, you're taking care of yourself and you're deciding that I'm going to be the best version of myself. And when you take it personally, you're kind of taking on all those other issues that aren't even yours.
Right.
How exhausting.
So the bottom line is the work that you do is for you. It is not for anybody else because you do not know what they are thinking, feeling, experiencing, and to make an assumption is really to be making a fool of yourself.
Right.
And taking on something that has nothing to do with you. So go be empowered.
In a good way, in a different definition of that. Okay, so that was a process from, and it's very important to say, that was from the journey part.
Of energetic invocations series.
Right. And so in Energetic Invocations, a book of vibrational change, we have self, journey, people, environment, and world. So next up, we are going to be talking about another process this moment. Stay tuned. Thank you for listening to this production from EI Alliance. Check out our Amazon authors pages for books and podcasts. Find New Threads music and their latest album on iTunes, Spotify, and newthreads.us.